I've been told that my face can sometimes appear very serious. So maybe I need to do a little facial exercises, loosen things up. So, topic for today, all questions are answers. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, if you're thinking in terms of worldly knowledge, that statement kind of doesn't really make any sense, you know. If you want to know how to drive a car, you ask someone a question on how to do that, it's a legitimate question, right? It's not a statement of knowing and asking that question. It's not you're not coming from a place of already presupposing something. Whereas when you're asking a question in regards to who you are, in regards to what you are, always, every single time the question is asked, there's actually already a little bit of an answer concealed within the question about what you are. It's almost like in order to be able to ask the question, who am I? You have to presuppose already that there is an I to find out. That there's a who there to figure out. So the question, who am I, popularized by that Ramana Maharshi guy, um, is great for getting the wheels turning, right? For getting you to look a little closer at just what the hell's going on. But as you move along, and you believe, well, that's the closest that really I can get to reality, to ultimate truth, is just continuously asking, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? As you move along with that inquiry, eventually you get to a place where uh, an even deeper inquiry happens, where it's just a sudden, well, what makes me so certain that there's even an identity that needs to be determined, that needs to be figured out? And then that's really the real who am I. It's instant oblivion, you could say, for all identity. So in a way, truth is black and white in the sense that either you're somebody or you're nobody, right? Here now, either you're somebody or you're nobody. Ultimately, speaking of ultimate truth here, obviously there's the body and the mind and the thoughts, blah, blah, blah. So when it comes to life saying, who is here it's really playing the game of I don't know who's here, which is really also the game of I do know who's here. And the identity's clothing is I don't know who's here. It's still kind of a personalness. There's still a personalness there. So true inquiry, when it's really deep, penetrates that personal world, the world of relationships, being in relation to something. Because there's just this silent knowing that this isn't about finding out who the identity is. It's about acknowledging that there is no identity. So in the subject-object world, all questions make sense. Yeah, there's lots of questions to ask in life. How do you do this? How was that made? Why did that happen? What caused that to happen? Blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to finding out who you are, what you are, no question makes sense. No question will lead you to a different answer other than the question itself, which is simply a state of identifying with being and somebody that doesn't know. If that's confusing, feel free to chime in there on the chat and we can pick at it. You have to be signed into YouTube. So this is kind of pointing at that true inquiry, true self-inquiry, getting to the heart of reality, which is you, quote unquote you, has nothing to do with solutions found through thinking. It's about discovering the subtleties of silence. What inner knowingness is hiding out in that silence. So it's exploring silence deeply. So why is it important to point out that all questions in regards to finding out who you are answers, is already coming from an assumption that you know who you are, even though it's an identity that's claiming to not know what it is. Why is it helpful to notice that? Well, it helps you become more authentic in the seeking, less dependent on teachings and teachers to find out the truth for yourself, because the only thing that really a teacher can give you as far in through words and video and all that stuff, is a support of the story on a very basic level, but it's still a support of the story as being real. Teachers play the role of the character that gives answers. Students play the role of the one who asks questions about something that cannot be touched by a question, cannot be touched by an answer. It encapsulates everything. So realizing that there's no answers, that this waking up thing has nothing to do with getting it mentally right in your head. You can become more clear about certain concepts you've held on to that are not helpful, and so those fall away. Kind of using a thorn to remove a thorn, kind of, I guess. There's still a thorn there, though, right? It's just replaced by another thorn. And you take it out. True freedom, another way of saying this is true freedom doesn't wonder if it's free. Doesn't question if it's free. It just does its thing. It just is. It's like when you're a little kid and your mind hasn't been programmed so much just yet. They're not really wondering why they're not very happy. Most kids, little kids, they're not really in that place just yet where they're wondering how to be happy. Because happiness or peace, joy, whatever, is just a natural state for them. They haven't learned very much just yet that there might be something wrong. So the question is silly then for them to ask, right? Who am I? How do I become free? How do I live a life of joy and fun and playfulness and lightheartedness? How do I do that? This is iced tea, if you're wondering. It's not scotch, or not that there's anything wrong with scotch. So I guess we're also pointing at kind of an earth-shattering thing, I guess, for a very deeply identified spiritual seeker. We're pointing at really ultimately the truth that the truth cannot be sought. It can only be avoided. Because the truth is what you are. That free, no identity place or awareness is what you are. So this idea that it can be sought to be attained is actually false. It's not really, can't really happen. It's kind of a game. At times an incredibly painful game. It's this search to get home. As if you had left. So that's why to ask a question, how do I get home, comes from a place of arrogance or ignorance, because it's already assuming that you know what home is and that you left it. So it's actually an ignoring of what's already here and a conceptualizing of it, and then taking that concept and saying you want to get back to it. You can never get back to your concepts. You can't live a concept. Well, we certainly think we can, and we try to, which is why it looks so strange right now on the planet, all of us human beings living in our own little thought-made fantasy worlds. We love to explore and to search. It's just in our blood. We're programmed with that desire very deeply. If you could imagine an explorer being given a map to find a big chest of gold somewhere. This explorer's face would just light up. Its eyes would be like, yes, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna get there. It's gonna be mine. And then some guy walks by and it's like, hey, it's actually in the trunk of your car there. Just pop the trunk. The explorer on one hand would be like, oh, great. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, okay, I got lots of money. These gold coins are nice and shiny, and But on the other hand, there'd be more of them that would be actually a little upset because the whole journey was just eliminated or rendered useless and pointless. That's like truth, the truth of you. This enlightenment thing is in the trunk of your car. Just hit the button to pop it. Boom. Game over. Obviously, to do that, you have to stop. You have to be willing to let go of this compulsion to complicate things, to really hold on dearly to this idea that freedom and innocence is somewhere out there. So I've said it before, I really don't know anything that you don't. Intellectually speaking, you probably know a lot more than I do. Right? But you may also say, yeah, but you look, you seem like you've become aware of something, something really profound and special. And I don't feel like I have. Well, in your own little world, that's true, right? Because that's acceptable and enough for you. For that, whatever I'm talking about here, to have been something that's just special and a nice idea, but it can't be your reality. And that, in a way, that's missing the whole point of what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to point to. Anything of real value that I'm aware of is 100% accessible to you here now. It's not being withheld. So if it's not being withheld from you, then obviously it comes down to willingness, interest and willingness to go deeper, to see what is already here, to feel what doesn't want to be felt initially, so that it can just wither away and dissolve in this vast ocean of isness, suchness. Freedom is isness. Hell is somethingness. When it comes to getting to the heart of your experience, all questions about how to do that are a rejection of how to do that. You don't need to learn how to be yourself. You do it often. Maybe you're not aware of it sometimes because the guard is let down. But you know, when you're walking around your house by yourself, in between situations or circumstances, in between conversation, it's just an automatic thing, being yourself or being your no self, if there happens to be no thinking happening at the moment. It's just a very easy, natural, effortless thing, right? You don't even question the value of it because it's so effortless. But if you actually put more attention on that when it's happening, you see that there's actually a lot of wisdom in that. In those moments where you're just not donning any kind of role. There's a wisdom in the felt experience of that. So start to see that, and then ask the question: why can't that be the case in other situations? And the ones that I'm placing this other value on. Why can't I just let go in those situations and be nobody in those situations? Well, there's no reason. Other than the fear that this mind-made entity called me could be, still holds value and could be threatened by going down that road. I guess in a fun kind of way you could say this is a battle between light and dark, the forces of light and dark. The dark is saying, you need me. Literally, you need me. Come, pick up the clothes, put them on, be somebody. And the truth is saying, just look at his track record. Look at what it's gotten you. It's really all it can say is just look. Proof is in the pudding, man. This me thing hasn't really done such a bang up job. It can't really make a case for itself because it's no self, it's nothing, right? All it can do is just kind of notice how being a self is so bloody wrought with chaos and misery. Freedom is in the trunk of your car. You don't have to go looking for it. And yes, like a mobster, you put it there. Criminal for the me mafia. Suffocating being in there. Let it out. Common question is, well, how do I move through life without being a me? Well, again, it's assuming that you know what me is. It's actually already happening. Consciousness is moving through itself without an identity. Already. It can't be otherwise. So it's really just a well designed, intricate illusion that says there's a me running the show here. There's a me that's in control of everything. Successes and failures, and supposed successes and supposed failures. You know, the strange comical paradoxes. We fight enlightenment, coming home or leaving home, because we don't want to be alone. And yet the paradox is, when you actually stop that fight, give up on that battle, and it's a realization that you were always alone. And you actually don't have a problem with it. You know it very well. It's not a foreign thing. What's foreign is this idea of foreign things, foreign people. Hell is other people, right? So when it comes to seekers of truth and finders of truth, those who are, you could say, asleep or unawake, and those who are, it's really just um, that no seeker can ever find the truth. That action of seeking can never find, because that action in and of itself is what is desired, is what is wanted. So when enlightenment happens, it's not that a seeker finds enlightenment. It's that enlightenment stops seeking. I think you know what I mean by that. Maybe you can sense as I talk that, the words are saying one thing, but on a deeper level, there's an energy coming from me that's saying, stop looking at me, stop trying to understand me, and just allow you to be me. Allow yourself to just be what's happening right now. Because that's what's happening anyway. You are what's happening right now. Where that body is and where this body is. Of course, you don't have control over what's happening with this body. It doesn't change the fact that you are inseparable from it. It is made of the same stuff as you. The same consciousness. It's not a dangerous thing. If there's anything that could be categorized as dangerous, it's being a finite thing. This little itty bitty somebody with an expiration date stamped on it. That would be a good definition of danger, right? Something that's very fragile. Yeah, you have to be willing to trust and let go into this. You're not letting go into the end of you. You're letting go into the eternity of you. That's all.